What's up, folks? Quick one. It's been a week, maybe a little more than a week. I was on vacation. I tell you that after I return. Record this on Labor Day. It's a labor of love doing a podcast. I got a bunch of texts while I was away on vacation. Hey, I went out for my walk. I went to go put your episode on, and there wasn't one. Like, sorry. It took a little bit of time with the fam, but we're back for your regularly scheduled nonsense here, craziness from Cage. I may even try to squeeze in a couple extras this week to make up for the the little bit of downtime, because there's been a lot of stuff that's gone on. I had a lot of stuff to talk about, even some stories from back in the East Coast National. My son and I went to. I have to do an episode on this, this trade that went down that was there, where a kid traded a card that was non-licensed, and it turned into kind of like an all-out screaming match with crying and you name it. But that's going to have to deserve its own whole episode. This one here, I'm going to focus on two things: the recent releases, your Topps Chrome release of NBA basketball and your composite football. Anybody who follows my content, you probably know where this is headed. Because you've seen a couple of stories that I did post, some of the stories about, what the cards look like. I mean, the composite football stuff. Oh man, at least you got the potential for like a Stroud RPA, and you don't have that on Chrome basketball for Wemby. There's no RPA for him yet, and I guess that's a chase in and of itself. But just the cards themselves and the airbrushing, and I'm gonna talk to both of them combined here and paint with a broad stroke on both the football and the basketball. I know Fanatics had to do something, right? I mean, they bought these licenses years ago. They spent a lot of money for the licenses years ago, and the license didn't come yet, right? The license didn't, it doesn't come till 2026 on some of these. It makes it difficult for them, right? They're not just sit back and do nothing. And they have these, these deals in place with athletes. They have almost all of the quarterbacks. You have, Bryce Young and CJ Stroud. They have Wemby locked up. They have LeBron, as an athlete to sign. So signing those deals and paying them the money that they're paying them, it doesn't make sense if they can't also monetize it. So they're not going to wait till 2026 to monetize it. So they have to put out a product. And we have what that product is. This unlicensed Topps Chrome, where you don't need a Jalen Brunson autograph without the Knicks logo. Some people have made jokes and called it like the armpit auto, because here he is. He's like mid-shooting. You got his armpit there, and and an autograph. No one needs that. But in order to get you a product that has that Wemby auto and that LeBron auto, there has to be fluff. There has to be filler. There has to be stuff that's inserted to make sure you get the one auto per box or two auto per breakers to light box or whatever it is to fill out the product. But ultimately, 95, 98, 99% of the product is trash. It's stuff that people just don't want. It's stuff that people don't need. And, it allows you to boil down the product to just gambling. I mean, it is a scratch-off instant lotto chase for Wemby. And even that, I mean, guys, take a look. There's a lot of Wemby stuff being pulled. A lot. And now you have the Wemby non-auto, the Wemby base cards. I mean, people are going to pay for those. People are going to, trumpet and cheer and wow, look, I got this Wemby. There are licensed non-auto Wemby cards. I mean, Panini has the NBA license right now. So the non-autograph Wemby cards should pale in comparison to the fully licensed Panini, your Prism cards. And yet I've seen, because this is what happens, right? I've seen the Topps Chrome Wemby card selling for more than the Prism card because it's new. Be careful with that, guys. I mean, I'll say it a million times. The prices will come down. More of them will be hit. More of them will come out of the product, even the numbered ones. And I would love for someone to give me an argument that makes any kind of coherent sense that the Topps Chrome non-autographed cards, your base cards, your parallels, your quote-unquote rookie cards of Wemby should have any real value by comparison to the, your Prisms or your licensed, your fully licensed card. You want to talk about the autos? You want to talk about potentially an RPA that comes out in a future, future product? Okay, there we can have a conversation, right? We can have at least a conversation about this Topps Chrome basketball being Wemby's first and right now only pack inserted autograph on a rookie card. Different analysis entirely. Still not fully licensed. Still not a fully licensed card. It still is what some people might call a pajama card, if you want to go back and pull that quote. It's not a surprise they're doing it. I know some people are enjoying the chase. It is obviously breaker heavy, breaker driven. This product was not a $400, $500, or $600 box when it was released. It was in the twos. It's very difficult unless you are lucky enough to pull a Wemby to have anywhere near the value of what's being charged for these boxes. And it's an interesting thing, right? Because if you watch, because it's so breaker centric, a lot of times you can't get the Spurs. You can't buy the Spurs already bought already on a lot of these. They fill it out with the rest of it. And, I was actually looking the other day because thank you, Fanatics. I bought my VIP ticket. It cost nearly $400 for FanFest, and I got a $25 credit for that to spend on Fanatics Live. So I was thinking to myself, it's $25. I got to spend it on something. Maybe I'll go and I'll put it towards the Spurs. I was able to find a ton of Topps Chrome breaks, a lot of breakers, no Spurs. I don't know if the breakers are keeping them. I don't know if you have to basically be like first in line to get the Spurs so that you got a shot at Wemby. No Lakers either. I wasn't able to find because obviously people are getting LeBron. I don't know whether the breakers listed and don't even include those. And I don't know whether they list it and tell somebody, oh, go here quick, and buy a quick. Just my own little observation. I went on last night, tried to see how much the spots cost. Couldn't even find any. So that was an interesting thing. And also, the difficult part about this, right, is maintaining value, right? I mean, this release, we're not even talking about the football one, which we can get to. I mean, I guess it's great that Tom Brady's got autographs, but he's got plenty of other autographs. Stroud, we can talk about that also, but what's the staying power of a product like this? I mean, it's going to be Wemby and nothing else. You got LeBron. I see a lot of redemptions for LeBron. I mean, LeBron autos are always going to sell, but there's plenty of LeBron autos out there. And ultimately, I can see it now, just like, the cheerleaders who tell you what you should and shouldn't buy and, pump certain things at certain times after they've already bought theirs. I remember being able to buy Star Jordan cards for a fraction of the price that they are now because nobody cared about them, nobody wanted them. And all of a sudden, people bought them and then talked about how great they were. I can tell you, and, I'll still be doing content. I'll have thousands of episodes by then. But when the fully licensed cards come out in 2026 for the NBA, if Wemby is the prodigy that everybody thinks he's going to be, and he's already won an MVP and a title by his third year, and he's just, lighting the record books on fire, and he's going to be the next great thing, then when the Topps Chrome basketball comes out in 2026, and it's Wemby's first fully licensed autograph, there will be people saying that that's the card to chase. Probably the same people who are telling you to chase the cards right now, because they're making money by you opening the product. They're making money by you buying it at a price that's significantly more than what they paid for it. And you got to remember that every new thing that comes out is hyped up as the new greatest thing, the shiny new toy. And all you got to do is just close your eyes for a second and think back to how many times you've been sold that new shiny toy. How many times you were told that Mac Jones was the one to invest in, that Justin Fields was the one to invest in, that Cade Cunningham was the buy. That was the guy to buy. LaMelo Ball. And Wemby may be great, but I don't know too many people that think this product is the great Wemby to have. It's an interesting thing, right? Because it's something we haven't seen since, the transition over 09 from, from Topps to Panini for licensing. Well, I guess we'll see what holds, but it is an interesting thing to watch, and just people are buying into these things. And I guess if I'm looking for the Spurs in a break, I'm doing the same thing, right? They're buying into these products for a scratch off. They're hoping to hit that lottery, and bounties are abound, and people are out there talking about, if you hit the Wemby, you got to bring it to my auction house and I'll get you the most money. And, it's sort of the same thing with the, the triple auto from Topps Now. Great bit of marketing, right? There are not that many people who actually want to own the card, and yet they sold 588,000 of them. They didn't sell 588,000 of them at approximately, let's average it out, $10. I think if you bought 20 or so, you were able to get them for $8. I think they're more, but average out at $10. Think about that for a second. They sold almost $6 million worth of that card. No auto on it, no nothing. 588,000 of these, the triple Olympic card that has Durant and LeBron and Curry on it. But why? Because they announced the chase. They announced that you could get a triple auto on card. One person of the 588,000 that are purchased gets a shot at it. It's basically a lottery. And what a great job they did marketing it, because it's not going to cost them $6 million to make that card. They got $6 million in the door for folks chasing the dream of pulling that card and maybe selling it to Giannis or Jeff Wilson. I don't know. You balance those out who you want to sell it to. Same thing. I mean, and this is just where it's headed. It's just where it's headed. And that's fine. If that's what you want to do. My son and I are opening less wax, and we're buying more stocks. Read into that however you like. Last thing I wanted to talk to you guys about, because I'll keep it short. I want to do multiple episodes this week. It's something that I've been thinking about. I see a lot of great posts from people, mostly Jordan collectors, but it's not just Jordan collectors. It's it's people who want the Jordan momentum to go into whatever they're buying. I see a lot of people post the Jordan record sales, Jordan all-time highs, a new Jordan record, a new Jordan in Fanatics, blah, blah, blah. What do you think's next? Obviously LeBron. Well, it's because they have a stash of LeBron cards and you name it. And I get a lot of DMs, hey, you still think that, the cards are going down. You still think, look, it's going up. It's going up. And people will send me a random Michael Jordan card that is finally getting back to the prices that it sold for in 2020 or 2021 after a huge dip. And it's always Michael Jordan. I mean, very rarely is it somebody other than Jordan. And it's because the Jordan market is heavily protected by a lot of, high dollar collectors. There are other pockets that are, slightly up. But I mean, if you look at your Babe Ruth category, Mickey Mantle category, they're now finally starting to climb back to where they were in COVID, 2020, 2021. And what's funny about that is it's great that they just got back to that price. Somebody told me, hey, you think the Michael Jordan market is pumped? You think the Michael Jordan market is this? And they'll show me a chart. Look at the Michael Jordans. Look at the average Jordans. Look at the index. It's up 10%. It's up 10% in the last couple of years. It's up 20%. It's up. And someone said to me, look, if you would have bought this Michael Jordan card for $5,600, then you would be able to sell that same Michael Jordan card now for, almost $7,000 or, 6 and change. Well, that's huge, right? I mean, it's up 20% in a couple of years is what they told me, right? And they were trying to say how the market has rebounded. Jordan is always the best part of it too. So they're using the best, rosiest picture of the market. So think about that. And somebody sent me over a card that said, hey, look at this one here in 2020. This Michael Jordan card cost just under $5,000. I think it was $4,800, $4,900, right? $4,900. And they showed it to me. It was under $5,000, 2020, $4,800. And they sent me a picture and they said earlier this year, that same Michael Jordan card sold for $5,700. And they're like, look at that, 21%. It's not bad, right? And cards to be going up, because most cards have gone down. That's a about less than a 4-year period, 3 years. It's stock market, 7% a year. And they're saying, how can you say it's going down? It's going down. And I said, all right, well, what's your dollar worth? They go, what do you mean, what's your dollar worth? And I said, okay, well, I'm going to send you over a comparison here. And it's less than 4 years. I said, that card sold in December of 2020. I said, do you know what a Big Mac sold for in December of 2020? The average price of a Big Mac was $4.89. McDonald's Big Mac. We're not talking about gourmet food here. We're talking about a pretty good indicator of cost and price. It's what middle class people will go and have a meal. $4.89 average price December of 2020 for a Big Mac. You getting me here? The Michael Jordan card sold for just under $4,900, $48.99. I'm making a comparison. They told me that Michael Jordan card sold in early 2024 for what? $5,700. You want to take a guess what the Big Mac average price was in January 2024? That's right, $5.69. Up the same 21% as the Michael Jordan card was. So I submit to you that if you didn't buy that Michael Jordan card in December of 2020 and just kept that $4,800, you know what you could have done? You could have bought 1,000 Big Macs. If you bought it, you could sell that Michael Jordan card now for $5,700, minus your fees and your expenses and your PWCC Fanatics fees and your PayPal costs. But let's just throw all those out and use the full price. Your Michael Jordan card's gone up 21%. Previously, in December 2020, that card, instead of buying that card, you could have bought 1,000 Big Macs. If you held that card and you watched it go up that 21% and somehow managed to sell it with that full profit, no fees, no nothing, no PayPal, and you didn't pay taxes on your gain, you know what you would have today? The same 1,000 Big Macs. That's inflation. And it's funny because all of the cheerleaders that are out there showing you what Michael Jordan cards cost last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and showing you what they are selling for now. One, they're not showing you all the cards that have gone down in value. So that's one, right? Which is almost everybody else. They're showing you the cream of the crop, right? The top picks, the ones that are, make it easy for them to sing and cheerlead about the market turning around and, the chart going back up. But what's funny about it is, the example they give, and, there are some oddball ones that have gone up more than 20 or 30%. But what's funny about it is, forget that everything's more expensive now. Your dollar is worth less than it was when you plunked it down and bought that card. And it's something that people never take into account when they're talking about their cards. Oh, I'm going to buy this card. I'm going to invest in it. Okay. If all goes well and that card goes up in value, good. You're just keeping pace with the decreasing value of your dollar. Because that Jordan card that we're talking about that's happened to go up $1,200 in the last 3 years, 3.5 years, from December 2020 to January 2024, that's 3 years and 1 month. It went up 21%. Guess what? You're still buying the same Big Macs with it. So while the price has gone up and it makes that chart look nice for you and allows the cheerleaders to tell you the story about the prices are going up, it hasn't. Just one fun thing you're not going to hear from anybody else. Maybe AIH talks about inflation, but he does it on his other channel. But other than that, guys, I mean, it's an interesting thing, right? It really is, because when you combine the two parts of this episode, you have a lot of garbage being printed. You have mass production of a lot of stuff that really is not going to have value beyond the first week that it's out. And at the same time, you have the price of everything going up, the value of the dollar going down, and only the top tippy top cards are even keeping pace with inflation or beating it. It's not negative, it's informative. And it's something I wanted to share with you, something I was thinking about also as I contemplate, what cards to buy. I made a big purchase when I was on vacation, so I'll tell you guys about that in a future episode as well. But one of the things that I'm now considering when I'm making a purchase of a card or trying to buy cards as quote-unquote investments is this the best place for my money? Now, A lot of people don't think like that. They want to have a card. It's, you're collecting, you're a collector. I want to buy this card because I'm happy owning it. And if it goes down in price, great. If it goes up in price, great. I just want to own it. And I have plenty of cards that are like that. And you held them long enough, they're all worth more. You buy the right stuff. Guy named Babe Ruth. But for the many people who came into this space and are still here and treat it like an asset class, an investment, they post charts, they have indexes. The value of the dollar is something that you have to take into account when making your decision about where to put your money. Loads of fun. I will see you guys again soon. I don't want to come back with a little house on fire here. 20 minutes is enough. I missed you guys, and from the text messages that I got, you missed me too. Most of you. Some people send me really nasty stuff. Probably get some more of it after this. Talk to you guys soon.